Hello everyone, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VII. We are at part 16. In the last part, we made our way through Mount Nibble, and in this part, in this part, we're going straight into a boss fight. So that's fun. This guy isn't too bad. There's nothing really to say about him, except trying that he's just used. That's an enemy skill that actually is very useful. It's a slightly less powerful Aqua Lung, but it's electric based instead of it being water based, so you know it's good for different situations and different enemies and stuff. So that's very nice, and it costs about 15 less MP, and it still does a very good amount of damage, if you can see there. So yeah, definitely, you'll probably get it from this boss fight, but just be sure you have enemy skill equipped, and then there you go. But yeah, other than that, you know, just hit it. You might notice that's a strategy for a lot of these fights. I don't know, I don't play, well, fire doesn't work. I don't play this game overall with like the most advanced strategies or anything. I'm just kind of like, just hit it. This playthrough I'm actually getting a lot more use out of bio than I usually do. I don't think I realized fully just how many enemies can actually get poisoned in this game. Because in other playthroughs I don't really use bio a lot, and in this playthrough I've started using it more, and I'm like, shit, a lot of boss fights can get poisoned, and that's super useful because that's just basically extra damage every turn. But yeah, like I said, this boss fight isn't too bad, and after this we will actually be out of Mount Nibble. But first, if you remember last part, I talked about how the dragons in this area drop gold bangles. I'm going to be getting those first before we leave Mount Nibble and go on to the next area. We are actually 2 parts in a row, we're getting 2 party members. Last part we got Vincent, and this part we're getting excuse me. God, that's been happening a lot lately. In this part though, we are actually getting our final party member for the party. There's a total of 9 in the game. So after this we will be set. We're fully decked out, and we're not even at disc 2 yet. We're actually, we still got a ways to go, but disc 1 will be ending at part 20. So yeah, just keep that in mind, or I guess if you want to. But yeah, so we're actually nearing the end of disc 1, so that's exciting, and there goes that boss fight. Not too bad at all, and there we go. And now I'm actually going to be speeding this up here. I'm getting 3 gold bangles for our party. Or do I get 3 or 4? I can't remember. I think I only get 3 for everyone in the party. But I will be speeding that up. It's just those big dragon guys you steal from. But also, while I'm doing this, I actually end up getting Cloud's second level 2 limit break, which is why am I forgetting the name of it? I just had it in my head. Oh well, I'll pause I'll slow it down there to show that off, because I do use it at one point. It's called second level 2 limit break, like I said. So yeah, here we go. Just speed through this, and yeah, you just keep stealing until you know. You run into the dragon, then you just keep stealing until you get the gold bangle, and then there you go. Or gold armlet, I mean, excuse me. Same thing. It's armor, and it's good. It has the same number of materia slots as the silver armlet, but it is just better. It just has higher defense. And oh, it's Clim Hazard, that's what it is. This is Cloud's second level 2 limit break, and if you have played Smash Brothers, you might notice that this is his up B. Blade Beam is his neutral B, and then his side B is his level 1 limit break, Cross Slash. And his final smash is level 4 limit break, Omni Slash, his ultimate limit break. But there we go. After that we should have all 3 of the gold armlets. And there we go. We're set. We're good. We are all good. So I'm just gonna get those equipped onto them. Look through materia for some reason, even though the slots are the same. I'm an indecisive fuck. And then I'm not going to bother healing because we're actually fairly close to the next town, and I don't want to use another tent. So yeah, let's just head out of Mount Nibble and continue on to our journey with some of the Sephiroth's words from last part in mind. Something about a reunion, something about Jenova actually not being an ancient. Honestly, that's probably pretty obvious. Jenova is this freaky-ass monster, and the ancients, from what we know, just kind of look like normal people. We've seen Aerith's real mother in a flashback, and Aerith, they just look like normal people. So that should have been pretty obvious, but just what exactly Jenova is something we won't find out until Disc 2. So yeah. Just trying again. Like I said, trying is a pretty good. Look at that. That's some good ass damage. Especially since it costs, like I said, 15 less MP than using Aqua Lung, and it's a different element. So some enemies that resist Aqua Lung might be susceptible to Trine. So good to have them both. But yeah, here's the next town. This is Rocket Town. I forget the actual name of the town. I just call it Rocket Town. And this is where we will be meeting our next party member. Of course, saving is always a good thing. Save anytime you can. And I actually am kind of an idiot and forget the sequence of events that I need to do when I get into this town to continue the story. So I kind of wander around here for a bit. I cut it out though, just to save time. Because you don't want to see that. But yeah, I actually am like, wait. I remembered we have to meet the party member in the rocket, but then I was like, how do we get him to go there? So I kind of mess up the sequence of events here, but it's fine. First, we're going to go to all the shops and buy some new stuff. I don't believe this place has any new weapons. Oh, well, they have gold armlets, which I buy a couple extra of in case I ever switch out party members. And they also have, oh yeah, they have the earring. And the earring is really good, because it just increases your magic stat by 10. So I give that, I'm pretty sure I give that to either Barret or Yuffie. So then their enemy skills is going to do a good amount more damage. I'll give it to Yuffie. So yeah. And then I have the power wrist on Cloud just to increase his strength because he's the best physical attacker in the game. So just let's make that even more so. Let's make him hit really fucking hard. Later in the game, in Disc 2, and then in Disc 3 for Cloud. In Disc 2 we will actually be getting an item that will increase magic by 30, and oh man, that's really good. And then in Disc 3 for Cloud we will be getting the Champion's Belt, which increases strength by 30, so that's a really good item too. That one you have to work for though, along with Cloud's Ultimate Limit Break, Omni Slash, and a few other things. You get those at the Gold Saucer by doing the Battle Arena. If you want to do it earlier, you can. I wait until Disc 3 just so I'm as strong as I possibly can be, just to make it a slightly easier process. Because you fight some pretty tough enemies in the Battle Arena. So having somebody be as strong as possible is nice. But yeah, and then there's the rocket. The rocket is tipped over for some reason. But yeah. So we'll get some info on that, on what's, what happened here. God, why is that happening? Anyways, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm sick or something. Oh well. I still, gotta record, so ignore my disgusting sounds, please. But, yeah. So, this town, once again, this is another town that just visually stands out a lot from some other towns, and I am here just selling some of my old stuff. We don't need the hard edge anymore. We've had that since Midgar, and we're well away from Midgar at this point. We can get rid of those, don't need those. I like to keep some weapons just in case something happens or something, or like, I like to keep some people's weapons just because, there are points in this game where you have to switch out party members. Like, there will actually be a point here in part 18 where we will actually be required to use Aerith, for example, or like there's a point in Midgar, you can't even change your party members at all till you get out of Midgar. So for that, I like to keep everybody having at least some weapons to equip to them, just in case you ever need them for something. And also, you'll see in part 17, we're going to actually have a character leave the party for a bit that we've been using, and for that I need to switch them out with somebody else. So I like to have just weapons for them just in case. That's going to be the time I'm actually going to show off Vincent and what Vincent's all about, just so you can see what's up with Vincent, because he's optional, so you never actually have to use him. Every other party member you have to use at one point or another, except Vincent. I've played this game enough times though. I know I've used every party member like in my actual party, and I've just come to the conclusion personally, Cloud Barret Yuffie is my go-to. It used to be Cloud Barret Tifa, but Tifa's limit breaks are a little hard to use, especially in the original PS1 version and the re-releases, because the menus run at 15 frames a second. That means her limit breaks, the slot machine, is actually a lot slower and way easier to time. But in the original it moves pretty fast, so it's a lot harder to time to get the most out of her limit breaks. And also she is has to be in the front row to do full damage. So I decided to switch her out with Yuffie, and Yuffie also has better magic anyway, and Cloud covers physical damage fine. So there's an airplane here. We could use that. Flying around would be nice. Let's steal it. I love stealing from the Shinra. But yeah. Okay, and then we're gonna go ask the captain. This is Shara, and we'll learn more about Shara in this part, but and Shara brings up the fact that the Shinra is actually coming here to hopefully give approval to the space program that's been kind of shut down for years now. So Cloud's like, oh shit, the Shinra's coming here. But now we're gonna go up to the rocket and talk to the captain to see what's going on. Maybe that captain will be our new party member. But yeah, once again, like I said, another town that just has this very unique setting and look to it. This game's great. This game is great. But yeah, so yeah, just making our way up. Hopefully then we'll be able to talk to the captain, maybe get a little more background on just what exactly happened to this rocket and why the space program was shut down and all that. Here he is. And this is our final party member that we're going to get. It is the captain, and his name is Sid. If you know Final Fantasy, you know Sid is the name of a character in every Final Fantasy game since the second one. The first one doesn't have a character named Sid, but starting with Final Fantasy II, every Final Fantasy has some character named Sid. Usually they are involved with airships or vehicles in some way, shape, or form, and this game is no exception. He's the Rocket Man. But this is one of my favorite incarnations of Sid, actually. Not always is he involved with vehicles or airships or anything, though. Like in Final Fantasy VI, he's not. But every character, there's always a character in these games named Sid. And I actually have to cut back to... I wander around because I forget I need to ask him all three things to progress the story. So that was the part where I wandered around for a bit, being like, wait, what the fuck? You have to actually ask him all three things, and he's telling about how he was going to go up into outer space, but then something went wrong with the rocket, and now they shut down the space program because of it. And he seems very upset about that. It was Sid's dream to go into space, and he blames Shara for what went wrong, so clearly something happened there. A lot of people think Sid is like this kind of wife-beater character. You'll see what I mean. the way he does not treat Shara well at all. But I don't see it that way because they aren't, they aren't married, and Cid's just very resentful of her because of what she did, and we'll get into that later. Honestly, I don't think it's right for him to do that. He's a very flawed person, but saying he's just a wife beater is not correct. He doesn't like physically abuse her or anything. He's just not, he's just not very nice to her. But she's okay with that. She feels bad for what happened too. We'll get into that here in a bit. Once again, it's complex character writing. There's more to this game's characters than meets the eye for sure. This game's impact was so huge, and of course it was the graphics that caused this game to be such a hit. But the reason it has such a lasting power is this was like the first game to really open people's eyes on the ability of video game storytelling. It wasn't the first game to have such a complex story at all. Games have had these involved stories since Final Fantasy IV on the Super Nintendo, but it was the first to really bring it into the mainstream and make people realize, hey, story-wise, video games can actually kind of compete with movies. PlayStation would not be a brand today without Final Fantasy VII. That's how big of an impact this game had. But anyways, Cid is just yelling at Shara, being like, get our guests some goddamn tea. Cid is a very loudmouth, very vulgar person. Kind of like Barrett, but I would say even more so than Barrett. I've always imagined him and Barrett ended up being very good friends. That's just my weird headcanon, but I don't know. They both are just kind of like that. They're very, direct with how they feel. They're very vulgar people. They're very loud. And then Shara seems to openly admit that she was the one that destroyed Cid's dream. Cid has wanted to go into space. That was his dream in his life. And the Shinra was funding the space program, and finally his dream was going to come true. And on the day of the launch, as you'll see here, Shara is clearly hesitant about one of the oxygen tanks and thinks that it might break during the launch, which would end up, killing Cid. It would cause this awful reaction. The rocket would, fucking get destroyed. It would kill Cid. So she's just checking it to make sure that it's okay. And clearly she's hesitant about that. But Cid is like, don't worry about it, it'll work. He's kind of in a rush to get to liftoff because he wants to go into space. It's his life dream. He's so excited about it. But yeah. So hopefully nothing goes wrong, right? Something's gonna go wrong. No, but yeah. So the launch is going to begin. And then suddenly this alarm's going off, and then they're like, there's somebody still in the rocket, in the engine, and if the rocket launches, the person will just get fried. So he's like, what the fuck, who's still in there? And then he realizes it's Shara, who still isn't sure about the oxygen tanks, and is checking to make sure they're alright. And then she's like, go ahead with the launch. She's like, Cid's like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, no, just go ahead with the launch anyway. And Cid's like, no, you're gonna die. No, we can't just do that. You can't just kill you. But Shara doesn't seem to care that much, which is, that's always been a kind of a weird thing. Like, I get she's a scientist, but she doesn't care about dying such a horrific death just for the sake of this launch to go well. That's kind of crazy. But then Cid, of course, being very conflicted, he's like, I don't know what to do, and we need to launch now, otherwise the Shinra are gonna hold back our plans. So like, what the hell are we gonna do? He doesn't want to, become a murderer, but also this is his life dream, and it's about to all get fucked up. So that's a pretty complex dilemma he's in. But of course, as we'll find out, he ends up doing the right thing and stopping the launch to save Shara's life. But because of that, he ends up having this huge resentment for Shara, because he's not even sure if there was any reason to be worried about the oxygen tanks. So yeah, he emergency stops the launch to save Shara, which ends up fucking up the rocket and causing it to tilt over, as we'll see here in this nice little FMV. And now because of that, he has this huge resentment for Shara and is very mean to her. But Shara feels incredibly guilty for what she did. Even though I don't think she's in the wrong. I think she had every right to do that, and we'll find out later that she was kind of in the right, but we won't find that out until disc 2. But anyways, yeah, so that's, yeah. Sid got his dream crushed, and the Shinra then shut down the space program, and Sid's dream was destroyed. And Shara blames herself, which is why she's okay with the way Sid treats her, because she feels guilty. She feels like she owes something to him. But yeah. Ain't my hospitality good enough for you? Yeah, so there's now that now the Shinra's here, as we see with Palmer, who just calls Fat Man. And we're about to get to one of my all-time favorite video game moments here. Why don't you ask him? Fuck, good for nothing fat fucker. Oh man, I know it's censored, but you could still very much tell what he's saying there. This is the only Final Fantasy that kind of censors the curses like that. After this, it's, pretty mild curses. Like the most they'll say is like damn or hell or sometimes shit, I think, but that's about it. Yeah, I mean, this is the first Final Fantasy, localized anyway, to have language at all. Of course, in Japan, they did before that, but Japan's a lot lighter on censorship than, Nintendo specifically was a lot lighter on censorship than the US was. So, this is the first Final Fantasy. Sony didn't care as much. Sony was kind of seen as the adult console anyway. So they were like, yeah, you can have cursing, you can have these more adult ideas, and because of that, we got probably the darkest Final Fantasy yet, with Final Fantasy VII. Not to say 6 isn't dark, because 6 is very dark, but 7 just goes over much more mature subject matter overall. Not to discredit 6 is a masterpiece, but anyways, the Shinra came here to tell Sid that they just want the tiny Bronco, the airplane, so they're gonna steal it from him, and that the space program is staying shut down. So they got his hopes up for nothing. So now Sid's very upset, and Palmer's trying to steal the tiny Bronco, but we're going out and we're gonna stop Palmer. And now we're about to head into another boss fight. This one's pretty fucking easy, but it's more of a joke than anything else because we're fighting Palmer. So yeah, now we have a boss fight, and Palmer's clearly terrified of us because, we killed, we were there when the President Shinra died, at the beginning of the game, or at the end of the Midgard sequence. But like I said, this is more of a joke than anything else. He's like, it's just kind of a really pathetically easy boss fight. He like falls over every time you hit him. We also stopped him. He's susceptible to stop. So, now we can just kind of wail on him. I'm telling you, time added effect. Oh, it works. And I also realize here, I actually forget to switch Barrett to Barrett now no longer has a long-range weapon for right now, so I actually need to switch him to the front row to do max damage. And now he's also poisoned, so we just got all the status elements on him. This is kind of pathetic, isn't it? He's moving again. I think that's it for the boss fight. Like I said, not a hard fight at all. Yeah, we're gonna have this fun little animation here. The plane's gonna start to move and it almost hits Palmer. He's like, oh god. And then now he's just gonna be like, nah, 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 and then he runs off, and this is the best moment in video game history. Like, it's just one of those bizarro, like, what the fuck moments. Like, why was the truck there? Why did he get hit by a truck? And not only did he get hit, he just went fucking flying. I love that moment. That's great. It's just, oh, I love this game. This is really the only Final Fantasy, not to say other Final Fantasies don't have a sense of humor, but this is the only one to really have this like bizarro bullshit in it. This is probably the funniest game in the series. 9 is also pretty funny, but 9 is more just really charming and clever. This game is just funny. And I love that about it. I love this game's sense of humor. It's wonderful. And now we got the Tiny Bronco, and once again, the actual gameplay, the actual in-game character models being mixed into this FMV, very impressively, I would say. I think they did a really good job here. I also love this music. This is, you know, the main theme, a variation of the main theme of the game playing. But then the Shinra troops shot the airplane, so now we're gonna make a crash landing into the ocean. So this isn't good. But yeah. So, well, I guess we won't actually have a plane to fly around on it after all. So that kind of sucks. Oh well. You know, at least we got out of there. It's okay. But yeah. Rip Tiny Bronco, right? And Sid, kind of distraught now that he's kind of lost everything, and the Shinra hates him now, and he hates the Shinra even more now because they just came to steal something from him rather than give him what he wants. So then he's just kind of like, also he immediately shoots down even the idea that Shara would be his wife. But Sid, because he has really nothing left, he's just like, yeah, I'll join you. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's like, I don't know about any of that. But he's like, yeah, sure. I'll join you guys. We're just like, yeah, we're after Sephiroth. And he's like, I don't even know who that is. Sign me up. I love that. So yeah, we got a new party member now. And I'll be showing him off later. But Sid is also a very useful party member. He has very good limit breaks. But I don't use him for this playthrough, but if you like to use him, then go for it. He doesn't have the long-range weapons, but he's very useful. And now, we'll find out we can now use the Tiny Bronco as a boat of sorts to travel through shallow water. And we're now looking for a place called the Temple of the Ancients, which is something Sephiroth mentioned before, and he's looking for this destruction, like this ultimate destruction materia, also known as the black materia, for whatever reason. But Yuffie suggests heading west first for whatever reason. Now, why would Yuffie suggest something like that? Well, I guess we'll have to find out in the next part, won't we? Anyways, thank you guys for watching. And next part we will see what Yuffie is talking about, so I will see you guys next time for more Final Fantasy VII.